Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to another video. And I just got back from a screening of Alien Covenant, which of course is the, I could be wrong here, but I think it's the 298th Alien movie. Again, I could be wrong, but I think it's around there. There's been a lot of them. The franchise has been going for around 40 years. I think the original came out in '79, and of course I saw that in theaters when it first came out. I mean, I'm very old. I'm in my 800s, so you know, I think, I don't know exact date, I started losing count around the Black Plague, but I've been around for a long time, so I've seen the Alien movies, okay? So I'm very excited to talk about Alien Covenant. This is obviously going to be a very, very different review than what I usually do, mostly because I just don't really have the time to do a regular review right now. So if you don't like the way I'm doing it here, don't worry, I'm going to do regular reviews again in the future. But this is going to be way more freeform, just me discussing the movie. I'm not going to have any spoilers because I know it's not even really officially out yet. It really comes out tomorrow. But I'm excited to talk about this one because I'm going to tell you right here, Alien Covenant, considering everybody hated Prometheus, I loved it. And now I would say I really like it. I would even say I think it's a really good movie. But I could see a lot of the problems after multiple viewings and stuff. But man, oh man, is that movie gorgeous. Has great acting, especially for Michael Fassbender. A really interesting story to me. It might not be the most, you know, complicated or the most intellectual. It thinks it is, but it's not really. It's pretty simple. But I enjoy it. I love the creature effects. I thought it was a great movie overall. I really like it. So I enjoy that movie, but I was hoping we would get closer to what made Alien Alien, okay? Alien 1 was straight up, it was a horror movie. Let's be honest. It was a science fiction thriller, but at its core, it was a horror movie. So I wanted us to go back to that. Even with Aliens was an action movie, but it had a lot of really creepy moments, okay? There was the threat of multiple aliens this time, multiple xenomorphs. We didn't just have one this time, we had tons, okay? So that already made it like way more of a terrifying experience, and they kept the claustrophobia aspect, which I love from the original. Alien 3, a lot of people hate, but I enjoy that movie for the most part. There are a lot of stuff I hate, like, of course, I don't want to spoil it, but things that happen in Aliens, they kind of go and say, screw it, in Alien 3, especially characters. Alien Resurrection, fun movie, but it's bad. It's a B movie, that's for sure. And I like the first Aliens vs. Predator. It's not a good movie. I don't like it at all, really, but I also do like it, if that makes sense. I don't like it because, ooh, they made Aliens really terrible, even though Resurrection already kind of did that. But I also enjoyed it because it was just a kind of fun movie. I don't know. I enjoyed it. And the second Alien vs. Predator is a piece of shit. So now we're all up to snuff. Let's talk about Alien Covenant, which I am going to tell you right here, it did a good job of bringing us back to what we really enjoyed about the original Alien movies, okay? Is it an amazing movie? No. Does it have some really good aspects to it? Yes. Is it creepy? Yes. Is it scary? It has moments, definitely. Do you really care for the characters? Not all of them. A lot of them are expendable. They're just there to die and just to scream and to look scared, or to be vessels for aliens. But you do like a select few, the ones that they focus on, you do. Unlike Alien, you really liked all those characters, especially Aliens. Aliens, you loved all those soldiers for the most part. You know their names. This one, not really at all. But this one's trying to tell a different story than just like people stuck on a ship or wherever, getting hunted by one or two or three or multiple aliens. This one is trying to tell a story that's a combination of Alien, where it's, you know, everybody's stuck in a ship as there's aliens around and they have to, you know, survive. A combination of that and Prometheus's storytelling, where it has like the engineers and stuff like that and all that background and all that philosophical talk. So it has like a mixture of both of those combined into one for this movie, if that makes sense. You know how Prometheus was slower and they had more conversations about stuff. There is a lot of that in this, but there's also that alien stuff that you've come to expect, and that's really not a spoiler because the trailer immediately showed, like, yeah, here you go, here's a big ass alien. You like xenomorphs? Here you go. Oh, you like xenomorphs but want something a little bit different? Here's a neomorph. It's albino xenomorph. Here, enjoy. So you have all those creatures. You have the alien, which looks awesome. The special effects are great, and when they actually use like practical effects where it's like a dude in a rubber suit. It looks really, really good. The new Neomorph looks really cool, even though I would say that's probably the weakest special effect, because he doesn't really have many features. Like, the Neomorph doesn't have many features on its face or whatever, so it's like this kind of like blobbish white albino thing. So you can, for some reason, you could tell more it's a special effect that way, where the Xenomorph has so many little intricacies and like details, even though its face is also, or its head is more rounded and stuff, but its body has more details and stuff, if that makes any sense. So it's really fun to see those aliens in this movie. The movie itself is extremely gory. People die in ways that I never expected an alien movie to kill people. Like, I mean, the original movies were bloody. This one is just like, wow. Like, hey, you thought the chest bursters were bloody and violent and stuff like that, and that was gruesome back then. This movie, man, I mean, this is in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler. Someone, I'm not going to say who, gets something, I'm just going to say something, burst from its freaking back, and it's just the most gruesome thing out in the movie for sure. And it's pretty terrifying at times. I will say that it is pretty scary when it comes to stuff like that, where it focuses on the new alien and of course the old one. It gets pretty tense and pretty creepy. Not throughout the entire movie, like I said, but it's definitely there. The atmosphere is there. It's a lot of dark hallways and stuff, and unknown. What's in there? The unknown. I don't know. There could be an alien. There could be a whatever. You know, there could be a monster. There could be a Bigfoot. I don't know. And all that stuff is really good. The characters that really did work, I would say, like, are Catherine Waterstone's character, Daniels, who's like, not what I really appreciate about her character. Her character is not like the Ripley of the story. She is the main female protagonist, but she's not the most badass girl you've ever seen. I guess she's more similar to how Ripley was in the original movie, where she's still scared, but she has full control of herself. But she's not the full-on badass Ripley from Aliens, which I think a lot of people thought she would be. There is a moment where she kind of has that a little bit towards the end, but they kind of revert back to her just being kind of like, you know, she's strong. She's a strong character, and I really like that. And she's a really good actress. I really like her. Ever since Fantastic Beasts, I've loved her. Actually, I saw her in Inherent Vice. I thought she was really good in that too. And she's really good. But the one that knocks out of the park, everybody else is really good. Billy Crudup is good. Damian Bashir, barely in it, but he's good. Everybody's really good in it. The one that knocks out of the park, of course, my boy who needs to get his Oscar, Michael Fassbender. He is excellent in this movie. He plays two roles, which again in the trailer. So I'm going by like trailer logic. If you saw the trailers, then you would know that there's two Michael Fassbenders in this movie. One from the original movie Prometheus, because it's a sequel, of course, and a new one, Walter. The original was David, and it's really, really cool to see Michael Fassbender play two characters that are both androids, but are very different in personality. It's really good. It's a very, very, very complex performance, and he does a really good job. Would I have liked to see more of him? He's in it quite a bit, but I would have definitely liked to see him way more. I mean, I would have liked to just have him as the character. I'd be perfectly fine with that. He's an android. He's supposed to be like the most basic, like, just like, yes, master, I talk with a monotone. But he is the most interesting character, and I'm glad that they brought him back. And yeah, he's a great character. I'm so glad Michael Fassbender has another role to sink his teeth in after the abysmal Assassin's Creed. I didn't hate it, but a lot of people did. So I'm just taking from majority from the majority of people. I didn't hate it, but you know, whatever. So yeah, Alien Covenant gives you what you want. You have the dark hallways. You have the creepy alien creatures, you have the atmosphere is there, you have the different world, just like in Prometheus, you get that, and even aliens. Yeah, it's a fun movie for the most part. There is a lot of talking, but for the most part, everybody does a really good job. Oh, I forgot to mention, Danny McBride is actually really good in this too. He's played for comedic, but he has some really good, like, actual dramatic scenes that he does a good job with. It's very violent, it's very gruesome, it's a little scary at times. If you watch this by yourself, then you might be spooked out a little bit, like just things that happen, you know. There's one scene in particular that really was terrifying, it's the one I was talking about with the backburster, and it's a really good it's a really good mixture of Prometheus and Alien. The two things that I like from both of those are in this, and they do a decent job. So Ridley Scott, I wouldn't say nailed it. It's still not amazing. Some of the characters are really forgettable. I would say most of the characters are forgettable. There is some slowdown here and there, and there's some odd moments. Not odd in like a weird, like, why did they do that? Why did they decide that? Just odd in like tonal shifts. Like there's some comedy randomly when a character shouldn't be like that. You know, he should be a little bit more, I don't know, upset because something just happened or whatever. So there's some weird, odd tonal shifts and stuff like that. So overall, I really liked Alien Covenant. I really enjoyed it, and I do recommend you check it out. So if I had to give it a score, I'd probably give Alien Covenant a 30. I'd give it a 31 out of 40. I really did enjoy it, had a really good time, and I'll probably see it again because I am a huge Alien fan, and I'm glad that this franchise is not terrible, I guess. That's the best I could say, is that it's good, and it's not terrible. Yeah. They still have some life in this franchise. So overall, there you go. Alien Covenant. I liked it. And I'm happy. I'm happy I did. So there you go. Thank you. Until next time. Goodbye. But wait, don't end that video yet because I'm going to talk some spoilers. So let's get to it, okay? Again, these are going to be spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, do not continue watching, okay? I'm going to spoil the movie. All right? I'll give you a couple seconds to leave. Alright, now let's talk spoilers. The first thing I want to mention is the fate of Elizabeth Shaw, who is Noomi Rapace's character from Prometheus. This is supposed to be 10 years after Prometheus. They actually mentioned that it was 10 years after Prometheus. But as we saw in a little clip that they released online, Elizabeth Shaw went into some cryosleep because I guess David... I forgot what the reasoning was, but she had to because maybe she was just bored of waiting or whatever. And you know, David doesn't age, so he would wake her up when there's someone that is coming. But in this movie, it's revealed that she actually died. Supposedly, she died during some freak accident where the engineer ship that they're on fell into the ground, and she died in cryosleep or whatever. And David even has like a little tombstone for her, where Walter sees that as well. And yeah, so that's how she dies. Or is it? Oh, that's not how she died. Spoilers. Again, this is spoilers. She didn't die in a crash. You find out that David is taking his experiments a little seriously. Like you could see if you saw in Prometheus, David really took some of his experiments a little too seriously. Like he like experimented with some of the humans by dropping the little black liquid into the water and letting them drink and see what happens. Now he's really full into his experiments, and he really does think the xenomorphs and the neomorphs are like the next evolution of human in a way. You know, like we're dying off obviously because we want to go and inhabit another planet, and yeah, he decides to kill her in her cryosleep and then use her as an experimental tool, I guess, so you can like pick apart her because she's a human and there's no other humans around. So he kills her in her sleep and then experiments on her, so she's dead. That was really that was the moment where I was like, oh no, because I love. By the way, I love Noomi Rapace. I love her, but I don't know how to say her name. Ever since I saw the girl with the dragon tattoo, the original, not the new one, which is great as well. But I love her. I do. I really do. I think she's a great actress, and I like looking at her. What can I say? So she's gone. She's dead. I heard she was cast in this movie. And I'm like, uh-oh. They're going to kill her, aren't they? And then I saw that clip. I was like, maybe they won't. Yeah, they killed her. They not only is she not really in the movie, neither is James Franco. James Franco's in the beginning of this movie, and he's in a cryopod, and then the cryopod goes on fire, and he burns to death inside. There's a lot of people, a lot of pretty, I would say, famous-ish people. Like James Franco's famous. I wouldn't say Noomi Rapace is, but they're people you recognize and say, hey, I saw that person in this big movie once or twice, you know? And they just kill two of them in their sleep in the cryopods. That's two people die like that. Whew. So yeah. Yeah, so James Franco's not in the movie. You do see him in like a video of him like climbing a mountain or something like that, because this whole ship is filled with couples and stuff, and the wife was the main girl, Catherine Waterstone's character. So you don't really see either of them. So there you go. If you wanted to see both of them for some reason, they're not in the movie. They're really not. I'm not even kidding. Like Noomi Rapace, when you see her like dead, it's not even really her. I think it's just like an actual. I think it's really. I'm not even kidding. I think it's just like some model that they built because they look a little fake. But I'm not totally sure. But yeah, David ended up killing Elizabeth, even though David said that he loved her and stuff. And you can kind of tell that he was being truthful. I guess he wouldn't really lie at that aspect. I mean, at that point. Yeah, that was the most gruesome part. Also, I guess you could say David is the reason why the xenomorphs exist. Now, I don't think that's exactly true, because I think the xenomorph that we see, the two that we see actually, are a little bit different, because when they come out, they just come out, like, when they burst out of the chest from the facehugger, they come out in, like, actual alien form, so they're kind of, like, already formed a little bit. They're just, like, little baby versions of aliens, besides the little, like, worm thing, which I'm not sure. I'm not big into the lore of Alien, and I'm talking about, like, books and shit, and I know a lot of people are big into that, so please explain to me what that was about. It's either that, or these are just different, like, more... They're better xenomorphs. They're, like, strong xenomorphs. They're ultramorphs. I'm gonna call them that. All right, put that on the Aliens wiki. All right. So yeah. So the xenomorphs are created from David, and David just experimented a lot, and then brings Billy Crudup's character into a room, and he says, like, "Hey, look inside this egg thing that we all know in the audience what that is. Look into that." And he stupidly, like, "Yeah, okay, I'll put my face right in there." Blah, like, face hugger immediately on him, and then we all know what happens after that. And burst out of his chest. Poor Billy Crudup. Rest in peace, Dr. Manhattan. So that was a cool moment, I will admit. Even when the little xenomorph came out, and David was like, "Yes," and then the xenomorph did the same thing. It was a little weird, but in the movie it worked. Also, let's talk about a lot of the stuff that is spoiler heavy has to involve David. Like, David is the centerpiece of this movie. You think Alien is, like, the xenomorph is the bad guy? Shit, at the end, like, the xenomorph kind of gets taken out like a bitch. He just, like, yeah, there you go. 2 xenomorphs die like nothing. The main villain here is David. He is the main villain. He is the main villain of this prequel series, I guess. And man, oh man, does he have a nice little twist that I did... To be honest, I did see coming. I did, actually. Like, for the last, like, 20 minutes, I was like, this is how it's going to end. But the way they did it was extremely well done, where David and Walter have a little, like, skirmish. They fight. Walter being the good guy and David being the bad guy. And Walter, earlier in the movie, got his hand cut off. It was actually, like, bitten off by a neomorph. Or a zeomorph, whatever the hell it's called. I think it's a neomorph. Well, I didn't get bitten off. It got melted off because of the acid blood. So he's missing I think, right hand. So when he's fighting, or a left hand, I don't remember. But the point is that he's missing a hand, and he's about to beat David, and it looks like he's about to kill David, and then it cuts away, and then it cuts back to who we assume is Walter, because he has the same clothes, he has the same scratch on him, he has the missing hand and whatnot, and then he acts like Walter, like exactly like Walter, where David was more. I mean, they both have the same monotone, but they have, like, different, slight differences. So it seems like this is actually Walter. And then at the end, I mean, Walter helped kill the xenomorphs and stuff and whatnot. And then at the end, as Catherine Waterstone's character is going into sleep in the hibernation pod, she says, like, "Hey, you're gonna help me build that cabin," because they have a conversation earlier about the cabin and whatnot. Walter and Daniels' character, Catherine Waterstone, have kind of a relationship in a way. I think it is insinuated that Walter actually does love this girl. So she's like, "Will you build that cabin with me?" And he's like, and then she realizes he doesn't remember because it's fucking David. Oh, and she's already fallen asleep. Like, no, and it's done. Dunzo. It's dunzo. And the entire ship, of course, I didn't mention this before, but this ship has like 2,000 people, colonists, that are supposed to go on a planet and inhabit it, of course, and become the new Earth. And David decides, you know what? Nah, they ain't going home. He puts a couple of embryos, like xenomorph, not xenomorph, but like face hugger embryos inside with all the other embryos that they have, because they have embryos stored so they can, make people, I guess. And he decides to make a log that says nobody survived besides the Danny McBride's character and Catherine Waterstone. And that's how the movie ends. And I'm like, fuck, that's dark. Like, Prometheus at least had like a sliver of hope. Like, we're gonna find our makers, and that shit gets dashed in this movie, and everybody else's hopes and dreams get dashed in this movie. People die hardcore in this, and there is no hope. pretty much is what it's saying at the end. I don't even know what happened to Walter, and they never show. I'm assuming he dies because it does show David kind of reaching for a knife as Walter's beating him up. So I'm assuming Walter's dead. So Walter's gone, David lives, all hell Hydra. Fuck it. So anyway, there you go. That's the spoiler discussion. I know this video was long, but whatever. That's how I do it. That's how I do it, baby. So anyway, there you go. Thank you, and until next time, goodbye.